Hello viewers, welcome to City Report. Today we are gonna explore state Idaho. Let's get started. Idaho is a state in the Pacific Northwest region of the United States. It borders the state of Montana to the east and northeast, Wyoming to the east, Nevada and Utah to the south, and Washington and Oregon to the west. To the north, it shares a small portion of Canadian border with province of British Columbia, with a population of approximately 1.7 million and an area of 83,570 square miles. Idaho is the 14th largest, the 12th least populous, and the 7th least densely populated of the 50 US states. The state's capital and largest city is Boise. For thousands of years, Idaho has been inhabited by Native American peoples. In the early 19th century, Idaho was considered part of the Oregon Country, an area disputed between the United States and the British Empire, forming part of the Pacific Northwest and the associated Cascadia bioregion. Idaho is divided into several distinct geographic and climatic regions. The state's north, the relative isolated Idaho Panhandle, is closely linked with eastern Washington, with which it shares the Pacific time zone. The rest of the state uses the Mountain time zone. The state's south includes the Snake River Plain, which has most of the population and agricultural land. The state's southeast incorporates part of the Great Basin. Idaho is quite mountainous and contains several stretches of Rocky Mountains. The United States Forest Service holds about 38% of Idaho's land, the highest portion of any state. Humans may have been present in the Idaho area as long as 14,500 years ago. Excavation at Wilson Butte Cave near Twin Falls in 1959 revealed evidence of human activity, including arrowheads that rank among the oldest dated artifacts in North America. The most parsimonious explanation we think is that people came down the Pacific coast, and as they encountered the mouth of the Columbia River, they essentially found an off-ramp from this coastal migration and also found their first viable interior route to the areas that are south of the ice sheet. Idaho, as part of Oregon Country, was claimed by both the United States and Great Britain until the United States gained undisputed jurisdiction in 1846. From 1843 to 1849, present-day Idaho was under the de facto jurisdiction of Provisional Government of Oregon. When Oregon became a state, what is now Idaho was in what remained of the original Oregon Territory, not part of the new state, and designated as the Washington Territory. Let's talk about top 10 places you must visit in Idaho. Number 10. Loman Hot Springs. Loman is a small, unincorporated, rural census-designated place in the western United States, located in Boise County, Idaho. It is nestled along the north bank of the South Fork of the Page River in the central part of the state, at an elevation of 3,800 feet above sea level. As of the 2010 census, its population was 80 miles from Boise on State Highway 21. The Ponderosa Pine Scenic Byway, Loman, is at the junction with the Banks-Loman Highway, now designated Highway 2512A. It is the Wildlife Canyon Scenic Byway. It vertically descends 1,000 feet with the Whitewater of the South Fork to its confluence with the North Fork at Banks, the junction with State Highway 55, the Page River Scenic Byway. The Highway to Heaven Trail, stretching more than 150 miles from Idaho's capital of Boise, is the only mountain passage in the west that begins from a major city. The trail winds from 8th Street in Boise and climbs the Boise River past the Lucky Peak Dam. Sagebrush gives way to gentle pine slopes leading to historic Idaho City, then over Morris Creek Summit at 6,117 feet and switches back down to Loman. The route then climbs with the South Fork of the Piet River up and over Banner Summit at 7,056 feet to Stanley, where it meets State Highway 75, just northeast of the Sawtooths. The community was named for a homesteader, Nathaniel Winfield Loman from Polk County, Iowa, who settled there in 1907. Loman is in a geothermally active region. natural hot spring surface in the middle of the community, as well as in many other places in the surrounding mountains. Lowman is notable for having a one-room school, one of only a couple hundred still in use in the US. The devastating wildfire ravaged the area around Lowman 32 years ago in 1989. It destroyed over 45,000 acres and 26 structures, but without injuries or fatalities. Lowman has an area of 2.078 square miles. 2.039 square miles is land and 0.039 square miles is water. This climatic region is typified by large seasonal temperature differences, with warm to hot and often humid summers and cold, sometimes severely cold winters. According to the Köppen climate classification system, Lowman has a humid continental climate, abbreviated on climate maps. Number 9. Old Idaho Penitentiary Site. The Old Idaho Penitentiary State Historic Site was a functional prison from 1872 to 1973 in the western United States east of Boise, Idaho. The first building, also known as the Territorial Prison, was constructed in the Territory of Idaho in 1870. The territory was 7 years old when the prison was built, a full 2 decades before statehood. From its beginnings as a single-cell house, the penitentiary grew to a complex of several distinctive buildings surrounded by a 17-foot-high sandstone wall. The stone was quarried from the nearby ridges by the resident convicts, who also assisted in later constructions. The Old Idaho Penitentiary is operated by the Idaho State Historical Society. The elevation of the site is approximately 2,770 feet above sea level. Over its 101 years of operation, the penitentiary received more than 13,000 inmates, with a maximum population of a little over 600. 216 of the inmates were women. 2 famous inmates were Harry Orchard and Lydia Southard. Orchard assassinated former Governor Frank Steunenberg in 1905, and Sawtooth was known as Idaho's Lady Bluebeard for killing several of her husbands to collect upon their life insurance. Serious riots occurred in 1952 May, 1971 August, and 1973 March over living conditions in the prison. The 416 resident inmates were moved to the new Idaho State Correctional Institution south of Boise, and the Old Idaho Penitentiary was closed on December 3, 1973. In 1992, the Idaho State Historical Society recorded oral history interviews with 15 former prison guards. These tapes and transcripts cover prison operations and remembrance from the 1950s to the closing of the prison. The collection is open for research at the Society. The Territorial Prison was completed in 1872 and received its first 11 inmates from the Boise County Jail. This building was converted into a chapel in the 1930s and was destroyed by fire in the 1973 riot. The new cell house consisted of the 3 tier of 42 steel cells. The 3rd tier closest to the Rose Garden served as death row. The area now known as the Rose Garden, as this is what it is now, was once used to execute prisoners by hanging. Of the 10 executions in the old state penitentiary, 6 occurred here. The administration building housed the warden's office, armory, visitation room, control room, and the turnkey area. The falls front building held the commissary, trustee dorm, barber shop, and hospital. Originally the blacksmith shop, but was remodeled in 1912 and remained the prison hospital until the 1960s. The hospital was then converted into the social services office, but burned down in the 1971 riot. The dining hall was designed by George Hamilton, an inmate at the time, and burned down in the 1973 riot. Cell House 2, also known as the North Wing, contained 2 men's cells. Number 8. Bruner Dunes State Park. Bruner Dunes State Park is a public recreation and geological preservation area featuring large sand dunes and small lakes located northeast of Bruner and 15 miles south of Mountain Home, Idaho. The state park is the site of North America's highest single structured sand dune, which is approximately 470 feet high The park encompasses 4,800 acres and features the Bruner Dunes Observatory, where visitors can use a telescope for stargazing. The park's dunes are unique in the Western Hemisphere, where others in the Americas form at the edge of natural basin. The Bruner Dunes from the near center. The basin has acted as natural trap for over 12,000 years. The dunes may have started with sands from the Bonneville flood about 15,000 years ago, with prevailing winds blowing from the southeast 28% of the time and from the northwest 32% of the time. The dunes stay fairly stable and unlike most dunes, do not drift far. Flora and fauna. The state park includes desert, dune, prairie, lake, and marsh habitat. Desert wildlife is prominent along with birds of prey and waterfowl. Additional acreage was acquired in 1980 and in 1984, bringing the park's total area to 4,800 acres. Land for the park was purchased under the Recreation and Public Purposes Act in May 1967. Activities include sandboarding, fishing, birdwatching, camping, hiking, swimming, and viewing the stars at the public observatory. No motorized vehicles are allowed on the dunes, but climbing and sledding are permitted. There are 7-mile and 9-mile horseback riding trails around the dunes. An educational center offers natural history displays and a gift shop. The astronomical observatory is open Friday and Saturday evening, mid-March through mid-October. 2 cabins, 82 RV sites with water electricity, and 32 standard sites are available year-round in 2 campgrounds, Eagle Cove Campground and Broken Wheel Campground. An equestrian overnight facility with corrals is also available. Fishing for bass and bluegill is popular in the park's small lake. Only non-motorized canoes, rafts, and float tubes are allowed. It is the largest single-structure sand dune in North America. It is almost the most sea attraction of Idaho. Further, for many Idahoans, climbing to the top is a must-do. Bruner Dunes State Park is also a place where the visitor can experience an outstanding example of the Great Basin Desert landscape province, 5,000 years old. No matter their age, though, the dunes are magnificent as well as one of the most fragile and complex systems in the entire world. But few people realize just how old the sand deposits here are, an estimated 15,000 years old, and carried here by the historic Great Bonneville flood. Number 7. City of Rocks National Reserve. The City of Rocks National Reserve, also known as the Silent City of Rocks, is a United States National Reserve and state park in south-central Idaho, approximately 2 miles north of the border with Utah. It is widely known for its enormous granite rock formations and excellent rock climbing. The rock spires in the City of Rocks and adjacent Castle Rocks State Park are largely composed of granitic rock of the Oligocene Almo-Pluton and Archean Green Creek complex. City of Rock is also a popular rock climbing area with over 1,000 traditional and bolt-protected routes. In the 1980s, it was home to some of the most difficult routes in the country, mostly developed by Idaho climber Tony Yaniro. Climbs in the region refer to the area as simply the city. During the 1840s and 1850s, wagon trains on the California Trail left the Raft River Valley and traveled through the area and over Granite Pass into Nevada. Names or initials of emigrants written in axle grease as still visible on register rock, and ruts from wagon wheels can be seen in some of the rocks. In 1849, an emigrant party with James Wilkins encamped at the City of the Rocks on the California Trail just north of the Great Salt Lake Desert. Signatures in axle grease on rock faces can be seen today. One emigrant saw the distant rocks in August like water thrown up into the air from the numerous artificial hydrants. Beginning in 1843, City of Rocks was a landmark for emigrants on the California Trail and Salt Lake Alternate Trail, and later on freight routes and the Kelton, Utah to Boise, Idaho State route. The area's historical and geological values, scenery, and opportunities for recreation led to its designation as City of Rocks National Reserve in 1988. This unit of the National Park System is managed cooperatively by the National Park Service and the Idaho Department of Parks and Recreation. The Shoshone and Bannock tribes hunted the buffalo that once roamed in the City of Rocks area and gathered the nuts of the Pinoy pine trees. The arrival of horses in the Americas in the 16th century and swelling European immigration disrupted the Shoshone-Bannock homelands and traditional way of life. They grew to resent the intruders but could do little to stop them. Most immigrants on the California Trail saw no Native Americans, but some of their generals record smoke rising from high hills and the surrounding mountains. Number 6. Salmon River. The Salmon River, also known as the River of No Return, is a river located in the US state of Idaho in the western United States. It flows for 425 miles through central Idaho, draining a rugged, thinly populated watershed of 14,000 square miles. The river drops more than 7,000 feet from its headwaters near Galena Summit above the Sawtooth Valley in the Sawtooth National Recreation Area to its confluence with the Snake River. Measured at Whitebird, its average discharge is 11,060 cubic feet per second. It is one of the largest rivers in the continental United States without a single dam on its main stream. Cities located along the Salmon River include Stanley, Clayton, Challis, Salmon, Riggins, and Whitebird. Redfish Lake and Little Redfish Lake, which flow into the river via Redfish Lake Creek, are the termini of the longest Pacific sockeye salmon migration in North America. The lower half of the river provides the time zone boundary for the state, with northern Idaho on the Pacific time and the rest of the state on Mountain Time. The Salmon River originates from the flows through the mountains of central and eastern Idaho, Lemhi Range, Sawtooth, Salmon River Mountains, Clearwater, and Bitterroot Range. The main stream rises in the Sawtooth Range at over 9,200 feet in elevation, several miles northwest of Norton Peak. For the first 30 miles, it flows north through the Sawtooth Valley, then turns east at Stanley, receiving the Yankee Fork shortly below that point and the East Fork further downstream. The river then flows northeast, receiving the Passamaquoddy River at Alice and then the Lemhi River at Salmon, Idaho. East of the Lemhi Range, north of Salmon, the river is joined at its North Fork before turning west into over 200 miles of continuous canyons through the Salmon River and Clearwater Mountains, some of the most rugged and isolated terrain in the contiguous United States, exhibiting upward of 7,000 feet of vertical relief. The Salmon River canyons are some of the deepest in the US, surpassing the Grand Canyon and second only to the Snake River's Hell's Canyon, nearby on the Idaho-Oregon border. Here the river is joined by its two largest tributaries, the Middle Fork and South Fork. 10 miles downstream west of its confluence with the Middle Fork, the Salmon River becomes the dividing line for the two time zones. In Idaho, Mountain Time to the south, Pacific Time to the north, bisecting the state at approximately 45° north latitude. The river turns abruptly north at the confluence with the Little Salmon River at Riggins, about 87 miles above its mouth. From there, the river flows almost due north, with US Route 95 crossing the river on the Time Zone Bridge just north of Riggins, and then travels on its east bank until a few miles before Whitebird. The highway splits north to climb Whitebird Hill, while the river loops northwest and then south to its confluence with the Snake River north of Hell's Canyon, 15 miles south of the Washington border and 40 miles upstream of Lewiston. The Salmon River is the longest river system contained entirely within a single US state. The Salmon River area has been home to people for at least the last 8,000 years. Much of the area was inhabited by several tribes, including the Nez The river was considered sacred ground and a rich source of food for the indigenous people of the area, who relied on the abundant salmon species and other wildlife. Number 5. Boise River Grain Belt. The Boise River Greenbelt is a recreational and alternate transportation trail along the banks of the Boise River through Boise, Idaho, United States. The Boise Greenbelt is more of greenway than a greenbelt since its character is linear. It extends more than 20 miles beginning at Lucky Peak Dam in the east to the short distance beyond Eagle Road, Idaho State Highway 55 in the west in the Eagle, Idaho. Taking into account both sides of river and other parallel trails and spurs, the total Greenbelt trail system measures more than 30 miles. The Greenbelt connects Boise's riverside parks and connects Boise with neighboring municipalities. The majority of the Greenbelt is paved with asphalt or concrete on both sides of the river. However, some sections are unpaved and bicycles may be prohibited on some unpaved sections. Where this occurs, bicycles have alternate routes on residential streets or dedicated bike paths. Motorized vehicles are prohibited on all parts of the Greenbelt. Segways are allowed on the Greenbelt. In the city of Boise, providing a special permit has been obtained. In 1962, the city of Boise hired a consultant, Atkinson and Associates, to create Boise's first comprehensive plan. The plan suggested the city should acquire land along the Boise River to create a continuous greenbelt of public lands, stretching the entire length of the community. A local grassroots effort to clean up the waterway and create public access to the river corridor began to take hold. This vision caught on, and by 1967, 3 small parcels of land were donated to the city to launch the Greenbelt. In 1968, with public interest and supporting growing, the first Greenbelt plan and guidelines were adopted by the Board of Parks Commissioners. A Greenbelt and Pathways Committee was appointed in 1969 to guide the city of Boise as it worked to develop the Greenbelt, and in 1971 the first Greenbelt Ordinance was adopted, which required a minimum setback of 70 feet for all structures and parking areas. The city of Boise continued to slowly piece together a pathwork of land along the corridor using several methods of acquisition, including purchase, exchange, leasing, and receiving donation of property by individuals, city groups, and corporations. Approximately 1.5 miles west of Veterans Memorial Parkway, the North Bank Trail ends. However, 2 pedestrian bridges carry traffic to the South Bank Trail via an area known as Plantation Island. The North Bank Trail resumes at Glenwood Street Bridge, approximately 1 mile west of the first Plantation Island pedestrian bridge. Also on the North Bank, approximately 1/4 mile west of Glenwood Bridge, the Greenbelt becomes a bicycle dismount zone at the Riverside Village residential development. The bicycle dismount zone continues approximately 1.5 miles westward. As of April 2008, Garden City has made it a misdemeanor to ride a bicycle on the Greenbelt through Riverside Village. However, there is a roughly parallel signed bicycle route which allows bicyclists to continue westward on residential streets to the city of Eagle Greenbelt without having to ride on busy State Highway 44. Number 4. Hells Canyon National Recreation Area. Hells Canyon National Recreation Area is a United States national recreation area on the border of U.S. states of Oregon and Idaho, managed by the U.S. Forest Service as part of the Wallowa-Whiteman National Forest. The recreation area was established by Congress and signed by President Gerald Ford in late 1975 to protect the historic and archaeological values of the Hells Canyon area and the area of the Snake River between Hells Canyon Dam and the Oregon-Washington border. The natural color image of Hells Canyon was captured by NASA's Landsat 7 satellite on September 19, 2002. Roughly 215,000 of the recreation area are designated the Hells Canyon Wilderness. There are nearly 900 miles of hiking trails in the recreation area. The largest portion of the area lies in eastern Wallowa County, Oregon. Smaller portions lie in southwestern Idaho County, Idaho, northwestern Adams County, Idaho, and northeastern Baker County, Oregon. It was formally dedicated in 1976 in June in Idaho and in late July in Oregon. All are partially included in the HCNRA is the Hells Canyon Archaeological District, a 12,000-acre historic district listed on the U.S. National Registry of Historic Places. It includes 536 contributing sites, 23 contributing buildings, and 58 other contributing structures. There are many sites with pictographs, the largest of which are Buffalo Aerie with more than 500 pictographs, and Pittsburgh Landing, where nearly 30 boulders are covered with them. An interpretive site has a short trail to interpretive panels displaying petroglyphs and pictographs. There are 17 campgrounds in the National Recreation Area. Pittsburgh Landing with a river boat launch is the only area with RV camping on the Idaho side, and there are 7 on the Oregon side. The Snake River National Recreation Trail lies within the Hells Canyon National Recreation Area and along the Idaho side of the Snake River from near Lemont Springs downstream to Pittsburgh Landing. The SPNRT was designated in 1980 under the National Trails System Act. It was constructed during the period of the late 1800s to about the 1930s. Access to the Snake River National Recreation Trail can be gained via road to the trailhead at Pittsburgh Landing on the north end of the trail, or by boat access near Hells Canyon Dam on the south end of the trail. Access can also be gained via trails leading from Seven Devils Wilderness Area Trail head at Windy Saddle elevation 7,200 via either the Granite Creek Trails or Sheep Creek Trails. Number 3. Sawtooth National Recreation Area. The Sawtooth National Recreation Area (SNRA) is a national recreation area in central Idaho, United States, that is managed as a part of Sawtooth National Forest. The recreation area, established on August 22, 1972, is managed by the U.S. Forest Service and includes the Sawtooth Hemingway Boulders and Cecil D. Andrews White Clouds Wilderness Area. Activities within the 730,864 acres recreation area include hiking, backpacking, whitewater rafting, camping, rock climbing, kayaking, mountain biking, fishing, and hunting. The SNRA headquarters are about 7 miles north of Ketchum on Highway 75. SNRA also has a ranger station in Stanley near its northern boundary. The SNRA was created on August 22, 1972, which includes creating the Sawtooth Wilderness from the Sawtooth Primitive Area. The White Clouds and Hemingway Boulders Wilderness Areas were created on August 7, 2015 by Public Law 114/46. Between 1998 and 2010, an outbreak of mountain pine beetle killed thousands of lodgepole pine across the Sawtooth Valley. In recent years, forest management activity has increased in the form of prescribed fire, commercial logging, and non-commercial thinning of dead and diseased trees throughout the Sawtooth NRA. Active forest management is designed to reduce hazardous wildfire fuel, restore beetle-killed forests, regenerate young growth, and prevent the further spread of bark beetle and disease, such as dwarf mistletoe. Forest management activities have been developed and supported by the local residents through the Sawtooth Valley Wildfire Collaborative. Much of the SNRA was heavily glaciated, especially in the Sawtooth Mountains, where remnants of these glaciers exist as glacial lakes, moraines, hanging valleys, cirques, and arêtes. The Sawtooth Fault stretches 40 miles long and runs through the Sawtooth Valley. While the two past large earthquakes likely took place on the fault around 7,000 and 4,000 years, the Sawtooth Mountains are in the SNRA along with the White Cloud, Boulder, and Smoky Mountains. The highest point in the SNRA is Castle Peak at 11,815 feet in the White Cloud Mountains, while the second highest point is Ryan Peak at 11,714 feet in the Boulder Mountains. Thompson Peak at an elevation of 10,751 feet in the highest point in the Sawtooth Mountains, while Saviour's Peak at 10,441 feet is the highest point in the Smoky Mountains. The headwaters of the Salmon River, also known as the River of the No Return, are in the SNRA, and the river flows north through the Sawtooth Valley before turning east in Stanley and following the northern border of the SNRA. Number 2. Craters of the Moon National Monument. Craters of the Moon National Monument and Preserve is a U.S. national monument and national preserve in the Snake River Plain in central Idaho. It is along US 20, concurrent with US 93 and US 26 between the small towns of Arco and Cary, at an average elevation of 5,900 feet above sea level. The protected area's features are volcanic and represent one of the best preserved flood basalt areas in the continental United States. The monument was established on May 2, 1924. In November 2000, a presidential proclamation by President Clinton greatly expanded the monument area. The 410,000-acre National Park Service portion of the expanded monument were designated as Craters of the Moon National Preserve in August 2002. It spreads across Blaine, Butte, Lincoln, Minidoka, and Power counties. The area is managed cooperatively by the National Park Service and the Bureau of Land Management. The monument and preserve encompasses 3 major lava fields and above 400 square miles of sagebrush steppe grasslands to cover a total area of 1,117 square miles. The monument alone covers 343,000 acres. All 3 lava fields lies along the Great Rift of Idaho, with some of the best examples of open rift cracks in the world, including the deepest known on Earth at 800 feet. There are excellent examples of almost every variant of basaltic lava, as well as 3 moles cavities left by lava, incinerated trees, lava tubes, a type of cave, and many other volcanic features. Craters of the Moon is in south-central Idaho, midway between Boise and Yellowstone National Park. The lava field reaches southeastward from the Pioneer Mountains. Combined US highway cuts through the northwestern part of the monument and provide access to it. However, the rugged landscape of the monument itself remains remote and undeveloped, with only one paved road across the northern end. The Craters of the Moon lava field spreads across 618 square miles and is the largest, mostly Holocene-aged basaltic lava field in the contiguous United States. The monument and preserve contain more than 25 volcanic cones, including outstanding example of spatter cones. The 60 distinct solidified lava flows that form the Craters of the Moon lava field range in age from 15,000 to just 2,000 years. The King's Bowl and Wappy lava fields, both about 2,200 years old, are part of the National Preserve. This lava field is the largest of several large beds of lava that erupted from 53 miles southeast to northwest trending Great Rift volcanic zone, a line of weakness in the Earth's crust. Together with fields from other fissures, they make up the lava beds of Idaho, which in turn are in the much larger Snake River Plain volcanic province. Number 1. Sun Valley Resort. Sun Valley is a resort city in Blaine County, Idaho, United States. The resort is adjacent to the city of Ketchum and within the greater Wood River Valley. The population was 1,406 at the 2010 census, down from 1,427 in 2000. The elevation of Sun Valley at the lodge is 5,920 feet above sea level. Scheduled passenger airline service is available via the Friedman Memorial Airport located in nearby Haley, approximately 15 miles south. Visitors to Sun Valley are relatively close to the Sawtooth National Recreation Area, accessed over Galena Summit on State Highway 75, the Sawtooth Scenic Byway. Among skiers, the term Sun Valley refers to the alpine ski area, which consists of Bald Mountain, the main ski mountain adjacent to Ketchum. Dollar Mountain, which is adjacent to Sun Valley, is situated for novice and lower intermediate skiers. Bald Mountain, or Baldy, has a summit of 9,150 feet and a vertical drop of 3,400 feet. With its abundance of constant pitch terrain at varying degree of difficulty, coupled with its substantial vertical drop and absence of wind, Baldy has often been referred to as one of the better ski mountains in the world. The treeless Dollar, at 6,638 feet, has a moderate vertical drop of 628 feet. The term Sun Valley is used more generally to speak of regions surrounding the city, including the neighboring city of Ketchum and the Wood River Valley area winding south to Haley and Bellevue. The region has been a seasonal home to the rich and famous since first being brought to public attention by Ernest Hemingway in the late 1930s. The climate of Sun Valley is classified as dry summer, continental, just narrowly avoiding a subarctic classification. Due to the altitude and aridity of the climate, diurnal temperature variation is high with summer swings, especially significant with hot days, combined with nights just above the freezing mark in July and August. Sub-zero nights are common in winter, while days usually average around freezing. There were 622 households, of which 15.4% had children under the age of 18. Living with them, 53.5% were married couples living together. 4.0% have a female householder with no husband present. 1.4% had a male householder with no wife present. And 41% were non-families. 34.6% of all households were made up of individuals, and 14.6% had someone living alone, who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 1.95 and the average family size was 2.45. A small mountain saddle splits the city of Sun Valley into two sections. The northern section centered around the famous Sun Valley Lodge Inn and the village complex of shops, condominiums, and original 18-hole golf course, 27 holes by 2008, which winds its way up the Trail Creek Valley to the northeast. This area is referred to as simply Sun Valley. This was all about state Idaho. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Do share with your friends and family. Thanks for watching.